Hello everyone and welcome to Outriders New Horizon. In today's video I'm going to share with you a Pyrotechno firepower build with the best single target DPS I have ever seen so far. Even Yagak drops in a matter of seconds, and that being said, you heard the Pyrotechno. You must have two classes in maximum level in order to farm the Borealis set from the Technomancer and share it with your Pyromancer in order to take advantage of the 3 set pieces, because the 90% damage against frozen enemies isn't restricted to the Technomancer. Thankfully, with the Borealis set, the Pyromancer firepower gets the edge it needs for single target DPS, because in my opinion, and if we're going to be honest, our bonus firepower legendary set is very bad. There are a few variations for the build, with small differences such as one skill, a couple of mods and weapons. We're going to get through one by one what we can change, and without any further delay, let's begin with our skills. We start with a hard trick, Feed the Flames, Ash Blast and Volcanic Rounds. The hard trick, when you're using a bonus firepower build, Volcanic Rounds will maximize the damage from their weapons, Ash Blast will apply the crowd control and the extra DPS thanks to our mods, and Feed the Flames is here so we won't run out of Volcanic Rounds. Now, the second variation of the build replaces the Feed the Flames with Thermal Bomb to increase our single target DPS, and you have just guessed it. We replace Bullet Absorption and Flame Grasper with Fire Frenzy and Branded, and this way you have the next build for an extra up to 80% damage against single target DPS, and that's why we're going to melt the bosses in a matter of seconds. So let's have a closer look at the armor sets. We're going to use 3 pieces of the Borealis set, the legs, the hands and the gloves, because only these 3 pieces have a relevant tier 3 or tier 2 mods accordingly that can be taken advantage from the Pyromancer. The head and the chest unfortunately have mods exclusively for the Technomancer, that's why we're going to use those 3. For the epic pieces, I'm using 2 different pieces, one with bonus firepower, long range damage and cooldown reduction, and the second one with bonus firepower, cooldown reduction and status power instead of long range damage. This way we will have a 90% status power thanks to our weapons, and we can get an extra 10% long range damage in case we find or use the weapon and has a long range damage attribute. And that's what we're going to use for single target DPS. Spoiler, this is actually for mostly against trash during the expeditions or high health targets. Let's have a very brief look for the mods we're using. Ash Increase Range, Death Sentence to inflict the whole map with Ash and debuff them, Bullet Absorption, Flame Grasper so we will never run out of Volcanic Rounds, Captain Hunter Freezing Boost, we cannot change the Freezing Boost, but we can replace the second mod with another. I choose the Captain Hunter to maximize the single target DPS. For the glows we keep the Shatter and we add Bullet Kindling, and of course Sharp Eye, and this is the only flex slot, the Ashes and Leeches. So here you can add a mod to increase your survivability, or you can add a mod to increase a little bit your DPS. I have tested both occasions, and Ashes and Leeches I do believe is one of the best options, because now we can use a weapon without weapon leech, and 40% weapon leech up 90% of the time is very good survivability. Moving on to the second variation of the build with one simple change, because I have chosen to have both the relevant mods Bullet Absorption and Flame Grasper to the same piece in the chest. This way we can just replace the chest piece with something that has the same attributes, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction and status power, but have the Fire Frenzy and the Branded. This way you can simply just switch out the chest piece, switch out the skills, either the Feed the Flames or the Thermal Bomb, and you have made the complete change for the second variation of the build. You can also change in between levels before the boss, that's why I also have the same transmog to easily identify these 2 pieces that I may need to switch in between. Let's move on to the weapon of choice. Now, The tactical ARs are the best for single target DPS. I do like them, and you need something that has ultimate freezing bullets, bone shrapnel probably, but let's talk in my weapon of choice, because for the most consistent build, which is the one with the Feed the Flames, I do recommend the Damascus offering with Claymore Torrent and ultimate freezing bullets. The damage is impressive, you don't get the high numbers, but you don't care. You kill the enemies very consistently, very fast, critical damage, status power, skill life leads for a little bit survivability, Claymore Torrent decimates all enemies around, ultimate freezing bullets will give you the burst against single target DPS, and you will never ever run out of volcanic rounds. That's why I love this. You don't need reforging bullets, and this is very consistent. In case you want to run with a little more inconsistent, let's say, build, you have to replace the Damascus offering with a tactical AR, and you need something similar with weapon leech, status power, and long range damage. This is not the god rolls because I was unlucky with my drops, and you need bone shrapnel and ultimate freezing bullets to maximize single target DPS and a little bit of AoE. Why we have weapon glitch instead of critical damage? You can definitely have the critical damage, however your survivability drops to 0, because if you go with a tactical AR instead of the Damascus offering, you have to replace ashes and leeches with reforging bullets. Without this, you will definitely run out of volcanic rounds, and that's not very good for your damage. It drops dramatically the single target AoE, and I really don't recommend to run out of volcanic rounds. In my opinion, the superior option is the Damascus offering. Yes, the burst damage against single target is worse, however for bosses we just switch to another weapon and to the different build as I told you, or just the weapon will make the difference because we're going to use this weapon. A tactical AR with critical damage, long range damage and status power, and Dark Sacrifice and improved freezing bullets. This way you take advantage of the Borealis set, of the thermal bomb debuffs, and of the Dark Sacrifice. So you see the numbers, why they are so high against single target, because we have both Dark Sacrifice, improved freezing bullets. Don't get skeptical with this mod, don't underestimate it. This is terrible if you handle too many enemies, but this is excellent when you handle one boss. For the freezing, I think the default time is 3.5 seconds. We have enough status power to freeze the boss long enough to just kill them in a matter of 3 to 5 seconds, so before you reapply the freezing, the boss will be dead. Even Yagak doesn't stand a chance. The other two alternatives, in case you don't want weapon leech, you can replace it with damage absorber to further increase your survivability, or you can replace it with two options. Ashen Boost, I don't really prefer it because we don't have as much status power unless we make another change. I do believe and I do want to change, for example from the head, to replace the long range damage with status power. Then I would advise to add the Ashen Boost. Otherwise you can also add the Dum Dum bullets, or very good other tier 2 mods such as the Bloodlust is excellent if you want to build up extra damage, or even the crit stack can be very impressive. Before we compare each variation and which works better in which expeditions, let's have a closer look at the talents, because we're going to use the exact same ones in both variations. We're going full to the Ashbreaker and a little bit to the Firestorm. There is only one flex slot and this is here. We either go with Warm Up or Unquenchable. The Unquenchable is much better for survivability. Do not underestimate skill leech. We apply burn to many enemies, and Unquenchable, in combination with Damascus offering, will give us a little more than 10% skill leech, and with having 32,000 health, you don't need any other survivability issues, so you can also skip sometimes ashes and leeches. But Warm Up is a little more consistent when you use the second variation of the build that uses the thermal bomb. We have 14 seconds cooldown thanks to the nodes. Without this, we will have 16.5 seconds. So you see, 2.5 seconds makes a huge difference. And personally, I do like this as a little more consistent. Just in case you prefer the second variation, it makes things a little more consistent. But it's up to you what you want to use. If you prefer the second variation, or you prefer to add a little more survivability. I don't negotiate the Wildfire. It reduces the cooldowns just enough. Even Thermal Bomb is good cooldown. Ash Blast and volcanic rounds and feed the flames. And everything else for the Ash Breaker also non-negotiable. We need Curse of the Pompeii to increase a little bit the duration of the Ash. We also get the Soul Master. Unfortunately, we don't get any moths to the flame or leeching force. That's why we either have to invest in the ashes and leeches or just rely on the high crowd control of the build, because we do have AoE wide ash and crowd control for the enemies, and we also have the ultimate freezing bullets that will freeze all enemies that you touch for a long period of time. So in comparison, which of the variations I prefer? Personally, I do like the Feed the Flames, and I do recommend to run this in most expeditions that you don't face a high health elite boss such as Moloch or the Blood Merchant or the City of Nomads or Eye of the Storm or the Molten Death with the Spider Monster, which is a nightmare because it's immune to ash and freezing, so good luck with that. However, you can go with the Thermal Bomb variation with the best single target DPS against those expeditions to just destroy them higher. Even the Damascus offering, without the eternal volcanic rounds every 14 seconds, 100 volcanic rounds, you will be able to navigate the level very easy with good survivability, good DPS for AoE and single target. Or you can use just both, run the whole level with the Feed the Flames as smooth as you can. Before you reach the boss, just make a switcheroo, replace your armor with the one that has the appropriate mods, switch to your skills with a thermal bomb, equip your boss killing weapon, and just rip and tear. The rotation is very simple, but I'm going to share this with a couple of tips. Just make sure you won't run out of volcanic rounds. Use Feed the Flames to hit 2 to 3 enemies so you can replenish from 80% to maximum ammo to the magazine. Use Ash Blast on cooldown for maximum crowd control. You don't need to equip your boss killing weapon against elites, you make quick work of them even with your normal AR or your Damascus offering. However, the boss killing weapon is, as its name has it, there to just finish off the bosses much quicker without even using the whole magazine of volcanic rounds. There are not many disadvantages of the build because I do like here to run in long range, and that's one of the very good advantages. Stay in long range, leave Ash Blast to do the crowd control along with the ultimate freezing bullets from your primary weapon for extremely crowd control, and take advantage of that to kill all the enemies before they come closer to you. So that was the first draft of the build. I do believe it has potential to go a little further for solo, however it may be a little redundant as even with this you hit more than 10 million per shot, because the tactical short rifle, its bullet hits from 3.5 to 4 million and you shoot 3 bullets in less than a second, so that's why the numbers are very high. And even Yagak dies in a matter of seconds, so even higher damage is a little redundant, but I do think people like the higher damage, so I will just try my best to update it, see if we can push it a little further and make an updated video with a more in-depth analysis, what other things are tried, what things work best and what other things doesn't work with a build. And so that was it for today's video. I really hope this will help you make your own variation of the Pyrotechno Fire and Ice build with the best single target DPS I have ever seen. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch it, and an extra thank you in case you stick around until the end. Feel free to stay tuned for more upcoming videos for Outriders New Horizon and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.